Bangalore 2020. A very warm welcome to our attendee guests and our dear speaker, Shana Sakau. The topic for this session is Humanizing Businesses as a Cultural Benchmark. And our esteemed speaker is a B2B expert on consumer behavior, a best-selling author, and a top global business and tech speaker. Shana Sakau on Humanizing Businesses as a Cultural Benchmark.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you today. So I want to start by asking a question. What would you say if I were to tell you that 90% of us don't trust businesses anymore? It is a huge cultural shift that happened kind of around the Great Recession that was 2009 to 2011. And what happened was businesses were at a loss because they were suffering, they were losing business, and they didn't know what to do, and all their budgets were cut all over the world. So it's the same story. And so what they did was they doubled up their efforts at the things that were free, the phone calls and the emails. And what happened was, if you were lucky enough during the Great Recession to have a job or still be in business, you were flooded with calls and emails trying to sell you something. And so there was this major cultural shift where we stopped answering the telephone just to be polite. The volume was just too much. And we stopped responding to every email, and we became almost cynical and distrustful of, oh, here's another company just trying to sell me something. And you can't blame the companies. They were desperate and they didn't know what to do. So it used to be, for hundreds of years, the way that we would sell things would be to approach a person as a company. And then once we've established our company's credibility, we would move into sales mode. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can sell to you. And then after a while, after maybe doing business with that customer for a while, would we really move into personal mode and share personal things and become actual friends with our customers? Well, today it's completely the reverse, because when we don't trust, when 90% of us don't trust businesses, businesses have to change. And so now what I tell businesses and salespeople all over the world is we have to be human beings first. You have to establish the relationship first. And what I really think, Doctor, is that it's the end of professionalism as we know it. Because we can't have this wall up between you and me if we want to move forward as a culture, as a world. We're in what I call the third wave, meaning there have been 3 huge major business shifts this century that have affected how we as buyers, as consumers behave, and they've changed us fundamentally. And the first one was 9/11. When that happened in the United States, it threw the whole world into a recession, and it changed how we buy, of course. And the second one was the Great Recession that I mentioned, that fundamentally changed how we buy. And we're in the third one right now. This global pandemic is another one of those major global shared human experiences that it absolutely is changing us. It's changing us as a race, it's changing us as humans, it's changing us as buyers, of course, once we trickle down. And so we can't sell the way we used to, because as consumers aren't buying the way that they used to. So it's never going to go back to the way it was. And unfortunately, our human nature is to cling to the way things have always worked for us. And it's hard to adapt, and it's scary to adapt, but the way forward is to change, to evolve how we see our companies and how we see our workforce, our salespeople, because how we see our consumers has to change. They see us completely differently. We can't do business as usual. So we, as human beings, Do you trust businesses, doctor,
Uh, you're
that you
right.
don't know?
Of late, yes, I'm also wary of those calls and then
Yes,
those scams, and you can never be sure. And they want
right.
fake
Unless you,
IDs and everything.
right. Unless you already know the person who's doing the selling, and then you already have the trust with them. But today, when you and I are blocking salespeople from even getting to us to start that connection, what's a salesperson supposed to do? How are they supposed to reach us when we are all saying no calls, no emails, and we kind of are locking ourselves away from salespeople? So we are saying to them, the relationship is what's the most important, but we're not allowing them in to build the relationship. So it's a crazy time to be, I mean, to be human for sure. It's a crazy time, but then figuring out how to sell through this is very difficult for that reason. And I think the only reason, or the only way that we're going to get through as businesses is to rise above all the noise. There's so much sales noise. There's so much marketing noise with companies getting desperate again. We're seeing it happen again. And they are doubling, tripling their efforts at emailing and calling and doing those traditional things that don't work for us anymore, and certainly don't work for younger generations. I have teenagers, and to get them to answer the phone, forget it. When they're, full on adults and consumers, do you think that they're going to suddenly change their behavior? No. I think that we are evolving as a culture all around the world because of this pandemic. And we have to humanize ourselves then and adapt as businesses to be able to rise above the noise and get through. We ignore businesses. It's very easy for us as humans, doctor, to ignore a business because it's impersonal. We're just going to ignore them. But it's so much more difficult to ignore a human being. So when a human being reaches out to you and speaks as a real person and tries to connect with you as a real person, it's harder to ignore that, whether it is by email or by voicemail or some of the methods that I'm recommending today, like video email. It is so much easier to ignore a written text from a stranger, but a video email, just as one example of a tool that's working now, is much harder to ignore because you see the face of a person and you see the tone. And if you know it's personalized, that video just for you, then you're going to at least pay attention. And that's so much more than we're doing right now with people trying to call us. We just let that go to voicemail. I don't recognize that number. So it's the only way I think that we're going to rise above the noise is by doing what I call heart share. There's head share and heart share. Head share is approaching someone with logic and as a business. And it's so easy to ignore. There's no feeling involved. Heart share is connecting with them on a human level, which is the way forward because we don't buy based on logic. We use emotion to justify any purchase, any purchase. So building loyalty in this next normal is only going to happen with heart share as we move through this collective human experience and fundamentally change how we buy. That's what I have. I'm certainly open to questions if anybody has them.
I think we'll continue our conversation. And so I wanted to know from you about how is it in, like you have Google Mail, which is absolutely just categorizing the letters that come in, they just go in promotion. And there it is, one folder that you never open.
Yes.
So if your videos also go there, it's how is it going? How are you going to, go around that?
Exactly. Well, you have to use a whitelisted service that has been proven to be not spam and will get through those filters and end up in the right place in your inbox. And so the one that I use is called Hubb, HUBB.com, and it is whitelisted and it gets through. There are dozens and dozens of companies now in reaction to the Great Recession that have popped up to provide video email services. So choose the one that's right for you. Hub, I believe, has a free plan, but I'm not sure. I'm not pushing Hub, but it's just the one I'm comfortable with, and I know that it gets through.
Okay.
So yeah, that is a huge challenge because Gmail just throws it into a folder. And do you go through and clean out that folder ever? I don't.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have someone who wants to know about your books because you're a best-selling author. So could you tell us about the books that you've written?
Yes, the latest one that's out is called Don't Become Extinct, Join the Sales Evolution. And that is based on the shift that we all went through after the Great Recession that was, in effect until January, really. And a lot of those tools absolutely still apply. I'm working on my next one, which is called The Third Wave, How to Market and Sell in a Pandemic Economy. And that will be out in the fall. But I highly recommend Don't Become Extinct. It's available on Amazon if they want to know how to get through, how to rise above the noise. And then as I keep an eye on how we're continuing to shift, I'm going to put that in my next book. So still absolutely a work in progress because we're still changing and we're still very much in the middle of this pandemic.
Right. So I am wondering, what is your home country? And the markets that you are talking about, they are different across the world.
Yes, I am based in the United States in Minneapolis, where it is early morning here and quite raining outside.
All right.
But I've spoken in India. I've had the great pleasure of speaking in India. I speak all over the world because consumers are evolving all over the world, especially with global events like we're experiencing right now. And the way that businesses need to adapt is generally similar all over the world. There are, of course, cultural nuances that have to be applied based on where you live, certainly, where your customers live if you're selling outside your home country.
Yes, that's true. This has been a wonderful insights from you, Mishana. Thank you so much. And for all the impact that you're making in the world, the WEF Bangalore 2020 is very happy to confer on you the award of Iconic Woman Creating a Better World for All.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so
Award
honored
will
by
be
that.
reaching you very soon, and please open that email.
I absolutely will. I look forward to it.
Yes.
I'll check my spam folder just in case.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, Doctor.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. And this is the all, and WEF is a way of the heart. So you have spoken from the heart and it's gone to our hearts.
My pleasure.
Yes,
Thank you. Have a
thank
good
you,
evening.
Anna. Yes. Bye.
Oh, Madam Moderator.
Yes. I'm Dr. Suchitra. So we'll be going live in a little while, I think.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
So how have you
It's a
been and where
pleasure.
are you?
I'm in New York City.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, in the
How
United
is New York now? Because there was what we heard was it was really bad time for some time.
Yes, it's getting
Something,
much better, but in some other states is not the same good news.
yes, yes, yes. I mean, you had your peak and the herd immunity is probably now that's the phase. Hmm?
Exactly. We thank God for that.
Yes, yes.
Thank
Stay
you so
safe.
much.
Yes. So I'm in Bangalore with the host team that is just or have organized this WEF.
You guys have done an amazing job, honestly. I mean, I know how, you've had your nose to the grindstone.
Yes, it's been so exciting and exhilarating. And this is just the last few hours now of the conference.
Yes. What
It's
time is it there? It's about
it's
8.
7:25, and your session starts at 7:30.
Okay.
So we
It's
have 5 minutes to chit chat.
almost 10 o'clock here in the morning.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's good. That's your work time. Yes. Have you been working from home all this while? Have you
Yes,
been
we
locked down?
have. We have no choice,
Yeah.
we have to be very, very careful,
Good.
especially for people like us that are immunocompromised. I'm a cancer survivor, so
Okay.
we have to be very careful.
All right. Grace, we are live, so I think we shall start. And
Okay,
yes.
thank you
So,
so much.
friends, yes. Friends, I'm Dr. Suchitra at the Women Economic Forum. I'm the moderator for this very interesting session at WEF Bangalore 2020. A very warm welcome to our attendee guests and our esteemed speaker today, Grace B. Charrier. The topic for this session is the agony and the ecstasy of self-publishing.
Thank you ever so much, Madam Speaker. Good morning to you and good morning to my audience. We're here in New York City. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm truly humbled. So I shall begin.
Yes.
One day, you will tell your story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be a part of someone else's guide. My name is Grace B. Charrier, a breast cancer survivor, a self-published author, and a talk show host. These words I came across while on my hospital bed,
Mhm.
and they were inspiring and powerful. They were the words I needed to hear at a time when I was going through so much. And I was encouraged to give positivity to just one person who was walking down the path that I walked. Those were very dark days. And so these words actually were the cue, was the cue that I needed. But did I ever think I would publish a book? Not to talk of self-publish a memoir? Never, never, ever. However, my spirit moved me to unburden my soul, unburden my thoughts and my musings, and believe me, there were plenty. Now, in Nigeria, which is the land of my birth, cancer is considered a death sentence. And this was the actual reason that I had to impart knowledge about the disease and eradicate the stigma surrounding it. So I wanted to enlighten my brothers and sisters on the continent as well that silence is not a cure because, of course, anybody having cancer, it's stigmatizing. However, such a tall ambition to write a book was not as I thought. Okay? It would have been much easier if I had written a blog or probably a few essays or so, but my book ended up being almost 400 pages. And oh, wow, the die was cast and the book project was launched. So, writing my memoir happened to be a very interesting adventure for me, notwithstanding all the trials and tribulations that I went through. So, the hard work required was significant and fulfilling. But sadly, the pandemic has been quite brutal. Bookshops are closed. Online deliveries for books have taken a back seat. We as the authors, we feel the heat. There has been a small increase in ebook sales anyway, but they haven't been impactful. We haven't made any money. Forget that. So if you intend to start self-publishing now at this period, please ponder over this. Now, if you decide to take that step, what kind of book do you want to self-publish? In my case, I knew it was going to be nonfiction and I knew it was going to be a memoir. since I was chronicling my journey. And so I had to further ask myself one question. After all what I had been through, was I willing to tell my story and be more vulnerable than I already was? Mind you, I had breast cancer, and there was no way I was going to, hide the things that I went through. And since the answer was always in the affirmative, I decided to go ahead with the project. Please be sure to arm yourselves with accountability partners, individuals who will nudge you when you're feeling relaxed and about to give up. My daughter and a dear friend were my accountability buddies. For my friend, it was sometimes easy to say, oh, I'm on top of my game, okay? Because she was in Maryland and I in New York City. But I'm with my daughter, so we're in the same house. I can't afford to give excuses, can I? No. So even when she said nothing, she was saying a lot. And so I considered myself lucky to have both of them in my corner. Now, the agony I faced during the self-publishing process itself was something else. One thing you must do is what? Back up. Back up. Have alternative storage. Make sure to back up on 2 flash drives at the least, also in the cloud. You know what happened when I started out? I lost my manuscript twice due to viruses. And this got me so mad because I had to go to the geeks for them to sort out the problem. And they had my computer for quite a while. Now, I lost all inspiration to write for about a week, and I went into panic mode because I felt that I had lost my momentum. So thankfully, my accountability buddies once again came to my rescue, and I had to get off my behind and start all over again. So fatigue is another agony, I tell you, because I'm someone that likes everything to be perfect and in tip-top shape. So things like this are bound to happen. But it didn't occur to me that while I was writing, I could edit, right? I was doing both simultaneously, and of course, that was taking up a lot of time. So who does that? Only a newbie. I was a newbie in the author's world, so I've learned anyway. Anyway, another thing is, as a self-published author, you want to avoid looking like an amateur. Be prepared to shell out some serious cash to get professional help in the areas you do not excel in. Splurge on um, good, what should I say, cover designers. I had to do mine myself because I was bootstrapping. I didn't have enough money to splurge. But if you do have enough money to, please do that. Now, to reiterate the issue of a good editor, the first editor I approached didn't have the patience to understand that this was my story and I needed it published as is. So communication grinded to a halt. I had to let him go to save myself from a heart attack. So eventually I was referred to somebody else, and she was amazing. Um, she even did more than um, expected. So be advised that your editor is your best friend and invest in a very good one. Now, self-publishing, I notice, carries a stigma. Why? Because people feel that anybody off the street can publish a book nowadays. True that, because there's so many poorly written and edited books available. So it's understandable. Because also recently, when I began introducing myself as an author, everybody would get excited. Oh, you're an author. That's fantastic. Oh, wow. So who's your publishing house? And then when I say I self-published, you could see the disappointment on their faces as if to say self-published. Oh, my God. So this attitude is an ongoing battle. And this is what we self-published authors face. Now that the book is published, what do you need to know? You have to market and promote, right? It's not that easy, I tell you. You must do your homework to know which platforms to use for sales and distribution. Promotion is a huge challenge. And if you self-publish, know that you're going to spend 10% of your time writing and 90% of your time marketing. That's what it is. Nobody's going to do it for you. You're going to do it yourself. And also, something I learned, start marketing and promoting when you are in the middle of your manuscript. Don't wait until when you finish your book. And that's another lesson that I learned. Self-publishing is a very lonely journey. You need to have all the advice and support that you can get for motivation and to optimize your craft. So join a community on social media. Unfortunately, I also learned this in recent times. Well, experience is the best teacher. So don't forget to self-promote. Don't wait for anybody to do it for you. Self-promote your book as much as you can and any way you can, because no one will do it for you. Who knows? You may even strike gold if the stars align. Another frustrating fact is having your head in the clouds that, oh, you're going to get rich selling your book. I have so many friends on social media and all that. They're going to buy. Oh, you start running up your what is it, calculator. Don't go there. I thought that with all my friends, I would hit thousands of dollars in no time. Haha, I just relax and I see my royalties trickle in. And while doing that, I'm still marketing and promoting my book. So I don't give up. Your book sales are possible, but not guaranteed. Okay. So sooner you accept that, the better for your mental health, I tell you. On the other hand, my ecstasies emerged during my writing and publishing process. First ecstasy, I became an author. How cool is that? So I'm the boss. I had absolute control over my book's appearance and content and the rest of my intellectual property. Remember when I said I let go of the first editor? I couldn't have done that if I was with a traditional publishing entity. So, of course, you know, they call the shots. But I called the shots in my case because I self-published. I had flexibility regarding my content. While self-publishing, I was able to minimize costs and also know that books have a shelf life of 30 to 60 days in the brick and mortar store. If you have an ebook, you have shelf life for life. The ebook remains. So you have nothing to lose. You can always go back and update your project, your craft. Now, publishing is a marathon, not a sprint. So people think that, oh, okay, no. Take your time. Everything will be okay. Have confidence in your work and in your story, and you'll be good to go. So, Madam Moderator and my audience, I would like to conclude that I hope to self-publish again, even though success is very hard to come by, I tell you. Self-publishing is always tricky, but in these times we find ourselves post-COVID, those who are on the fence may finally give it some serious thought. I hope you will. So good luck if you do, and guys, may your ink never, ever run dry. Thank you, and be blessed.
Thank you so much, Grace. You gave, such useful information. And if you're flying in the clouds, you just brought us down to earth and told us your experience. But there is a request to know, to see your book. Do you have a physical copy at hand?
Yes, I do, Mom.
Please, we'd love to see it. We'd love to see that book.
Right.
Yes. And what's the title? What's the title?
The title is called Impossicant.
Wow.
It came out on my birthday.
This is a new word that you have coined.
No, I didn't coin it.
No? Okay.
It's a slang where I come from. Impossicant means ludicrous, impossible, because that was my daughter's reaction when I told her I had breast cancer. So it's a slang that, oh, it's impossible. You had no symptoms. Nothing.
Oh.
Which is true, I had no symptoms.
Right.
I fell in my bathroom, and that fall was what led to my diagnosis.
I love this word. I love this title. Really. Is it from Swahili?
No.
It's a colloquial. Okay, it's a slang. Right. No, but it's going to. I can tell you, this is going to find its way in the Oxford Dictionary very soon.
I know, it's there.
Because it's like two words merging, and it's beautiful.
Impossible.
And you can, yes,
So,
two negatives and they make the positive.
Yes. Give the positive. Exactly.
That's right. Oh, that's so
It's
lovely.
on Amazon.
Okay.
For anybody, I wrote it, right, but
Okay. Do
I
you
can
have
say
it on
that
Kindle? Do you have it on Kindle?
yes, it's on
Yes.
Kindle. There's a
All
Kindle
right.
app.
So I'm going to read this.
Okay.
Wonderful,
Excellent.
Grace. And it's
Thank you.
400 pages. You know,
Oh, 400
we have a lot of book clubs in Bangalore.
Oh,
And
really?
yes. And I'm sure one of them will take this for a discussion and invite you.
Oh, you would love it. Honestly,
That's
there's a
right.
lot of humor.
Yes.
It's not all doom and gloom.
I'm sure.
Because the whole essence was also to even what I was going through to give
Yes.
positivity. I
Yes.
still have my mark. That's
Uh-huh.
where I took my chemotherapy,
Ah, right.
right?
Wow. I love you can show it off proudly, you know. Oh,
It's a story. It's part
yes,
of my story.
that's right.
I can't hide it.
That's right. That's right. It's so wonderful. And did you feel that the writing of this book was a very cathartic experience for you?
Yes. In fact, it was, but at the same time, it was healing for me
Yes, that's what I meant.
because yes, I mean, it was like I was burdening my soul, as I said at the beginning of my presentation, and it was good for my mental health because that is very important to get over. A lot of people don't go through cancer because you're already depressed.
Yes.
I had to, regardless of everything I was going through, I had to try to be in the present and make affirmations. I'm going to go through this. Um, this has to be overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Pray. Um, what is it? Meditate. And also at the same time, I started my show when I was doing radiation.
Oh,
I
tell
have
us
a
about that. Yeah.
yes, I have a show on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
called Cancer Convos with Grace B. Grace B is my, what should I say? My
Nom de
brand.
plume. It's your nom de plume.
Nom de plume, exactly. So my show is Cancer Convos with Grace B is on YouTube, and
Okay.
I seek to demystify the cancer disease. I have amazing guests who have been affected by cancer. I have oncologists, I have nutritionists, I have people. In June was Men's Health Month,
Mm-hmm.
so I interviewed the men as well because they're the last ones to go for a checkup. They're taking care of everybody,
Yeah.
and they're not even taking care of themselves. So you find that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the men
Mm-hmm.
hide, they have issues because they're it's the macho thing, right? I'm a man, I'm in charge, and I want to take care of my family. So
Hmm.
why should I tell them I have a problem?
Yes,
So
that's
that is it. So
that's
if
right.
my audience is watching,
Mm-hmm.
the viewers, Cancer Convos with Grace B on YouTube, you'll enjoy it. You'll find it very, very rewarding.
Oh, that's wonderful. Really, we've learned so much and can feel your strength. You are
Thank
an
you.
incredibly strong woman, Grace B.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank
Yeah.
you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, WEF Bangalore 2020 is happy to confer on Grace B the award of Iconic Woman Creating a Better World for All. And this
Oh my
award is going to
goodness.
reach you soon.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I have tears in my eyes. Thank you
No,
so much. That
it's
is such
wonderful.
an
You
honor.
truly
Thank you
deserve
for
it.
this award.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
God
Thank you.
bless you. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. God bless you.
Yes. With that, it's a wrap from me, Dr. Suchitra. Thank you. And it's back to the host. We'll leave the room now.